I think, starting this week. It's a whole different crowd.
Different crowd. That's crazy.
So we talked a bit about what forgiveness. Oh, you guys were, right? Yes, that's good. There's at least someone who's
10%.
Yeah, 10%. We talked a lot about what God forgiving us means and the incredible gift and miracles that is. And so today we're going to talk about forgiveness, our role in the forgiveness part of things. So I've got a few questions to start off with. What do you think it means to forgive someone? Last week we talked about forgiveness in the terms of what it means when God forgives us and forgiveness of sins. What does it mean or look like to forgive someone, you know, Stacy? She said she was going to give me dirty looks throughout the thing. What would it look like for me to forgive Stacy?
How about Stacy to forgive you? No, sorry. What would it look like?
Yes. What does it mean? Yeah.
It's a point where the offense doesn't rule you anymore, the anger and stuff. It doesn't affect you. I mean, you don't necessarily forget.
Right.
But at the same time, cover it.
Yeah, great.
That's good. It doesn't have control of you.
That's,
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else to add? Yeah.
I think it's an act of humbling yourself, right? Like taking you from the, like, I'm owed something, something has been done wrong to me, and humbling yourself and not holding on to that.
Yeah, that's great. You're right. It's when you've been wrong, you want to get retribution or something, right? Yeah.
Erasing the ledger, taking away the scale and measuring of it, right? Like you said, when somebody does something wrong, they want something, they want everything evened out. They want everything, for compensation, right?
Yeah.
And forgiveness says, okay, it's clear, it's off the books. You used to owe 500, now you don't.
Right.
And that's the end of it, pretty much, right?
No, that's great.
Sometimes
And
that
it's not,
sucks.
and it,
Sometimes that sucks when you want to bring it up later.
that's true. So
That's not forgiveness then, David.
Okay, I forgive you on the outside, Randy, but on the inside,
you're secretly still wanting something from
yeah,
me.
come on.
You're
Or
holding a
saying,
grudge.
I forgive you, but you better be nice to me for the next.
There you go. Conditions, without conditions. Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
No, those are great.
Maybe realizing too, like taking a step back and reevaluating yourself, and maybe seeing if you're capable of doing that, and then realizing, okay, like everyone makes mistakes, and that forgiveness is possible, and you'll actually find more love and forgiveness than not.
I think that's great. There's a level of empathy almost, right?
Yeah.
Where you try to understand where the other person is coming from.
Yeah.
I found this great definition on a psychology website. It said, forgiveness is a decision to let go of resentment and thoughts of revenge. We talked about that. The act that hurt or offended you might always remain a part of your life, but forgiveness can lessen its grip on you and help you focus on other, more positive parts of your life. Forgiveness can lead to feelings of understanding, empathy, and compassion for the one who hurt you. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you deny the other person's responsibility for hurting you, and it doesn't minimize or justify the wrong. You can forgive a person without excusing the act. Forgiveness brings a kind of peace that helps you go on with life. So I think you guys covered most of it. Great. Yeah, time to go. That's it.
It's okay, Krista, we'll forgive you.
So the next question is, forgiveness ever inappropriate or impossible? Any heinous things that people have done out there? What do you have
I was
thoughts?
going to say, I don't think it's ever inappropriate or impossible, but I think it would be very hard if you're dealing with somebody that has been abused in some sort of way where the act against them was prevent or like it is more about their inner heart, because I would think it would be very hard to deal with being able to openly forgive. Like, I think it would be hard to make amends with somebody who's caused that kind of hurt and hard enough to face them.
You're right, there are some pretty extreme traumas out there that have happened against people, right? But it's definitely not easy all the time.
Also, the other thing that inappropriate or impossible
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably a repetitive decision, right? It's something you can say you've forgiven someone for something awful one time, but it can come back up again, right? And the feelings and everything that's involved with it. So when someone does something that offends or hurts us, why is it our natural tendency to hold on to the offense and let it turn into a grudge? Any thoughts? Yeah.
We don't want to get hurt again. It's a defense.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we feel is so bad we just cannot let it go, and it just festers and festers.
Yeah.
Injustice.
Injustice, yeah, I think that's true. So you want to protect yourself, and you also want to, have what's right, what's duly yours happen, right? Yeah, any other
I think
thoughts?
that's how we're almost designed to go to a defense first. So having an offense committed against us brings up that kind of way we're almost wired to defend ourselves and our rights. And
Right.
it's hard to just let that go.
Well, we want justice, right? Justice for our own lives, justice for other people.
I think there's a tendency as well, and you see this in the parable that Jesus told of the unjust servant, where you call it, and hopefully that's not, I'm not stealing.
No, you're good. Yeah.
But there's a tendency to see other people's offenses as bigger than ours.
Right. No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something someone's done against us. I have never done something so horrible to someone else, right? So our standard of, forgiveness. Or, yeah.
They've got to pay.
We
Like, someone
can
has to pay.
And we can always rationalize what we did,
Right.
as opposed to other people having no excuse for it.
Yeah, that's true. So, some effects of holding a grudge. It can bring anger and bitterness into our lives. We can become so wrapped up in the wrongs that have been done us that we can't enjoy the present. A lot of people actually become depressed or anxious because of unforgiveness that they have in their life. You can feel that your life has a lack of meaning or purpose, and you also lose valuable or enriching connectedness. Have you ever met someone who just can't get over something? And it's really hard to be friends with them, right? It's hard to constantly be around someone who's always bringing you down because they're thinking about, this thing that has happened to them over, and that's, all they can dwell on. So I would say that there are two sides to the coin of holding a grudge. There's the feeling of justice, right? You want to see something happen. But then on the other side of things, you're also destroying your life by holding on to unforgiveness. Next question. Do you think that God understands our feelings in those situations in which we feel incapable of forgiving? And does he allow us to remain unforgiving? Why or why not?
You can't remain unforgiving. Sorry, I know that's the second question.
Do you think that God understands when we feel like we can't forgive someone for something?
Yeah, there's obvious reasons. I'm not saying that God was unforgiving, but he definitely had reason to be unforgiving when he was here on this earth for the way things went down. But on the other side of it, it's like we're all capable. It's like, those situations you're talking about, those hard situations. I've heard it. I was watching something recently where they were like, this is unforgivable. You cannot forgive this and this and this and this and this. And I can understand how people feel like that. But if you understand that everybody's capable of sin and nobody's perfect, and given the right situations, people can do terrible things, you start to understand why it's ridiculous, in a sense, for us to have unforgiveness towards people. Like those, I was watching a documentary on those child soldiers, right? And the situations they're put in, they've done terrible things, but, if I was born into that situation, would I be like, you know what, I don't believe in shooting people, I have standards. Yeah, that's how I would act, for sure. No, it's not true. We're all kind of the same.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point, which is that, and it kind of ties into what Randy was talking about last week, understanding the incredible grace that we've been given and the blessings, even from birth that we've received.
Right. In our own
And
situation.
how God views us all, you know, through the same lens of we have the ability to be forgiven and being seen as
And he knows all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? You know, we don't know all that stuff all the time. We don't know people's histories, backgrounds, situations.
So the understanding part, yes, because he understands everything. He understands. But will he let us kind of stay in that state and be okay with that? I'm not so sure. You know, as part of this, what George was saying, as almost allowing yourself to be part of the journey of forgiveness. I think God sees the destination. If we connect with him on it in relationship to him, then the relationship to others has to follow in some way. But however, I totally get the idea where something's been done to you that's so heinous, so awful, that how can this be? I don't know if I can ever forgive. But maybe there's, like what George said as well, there's some type of difference between the forgetting part and the forgiving part.
I don't know why it keeps going back. I think the allowing us to remain unforgiving, I think the reality is, with the jury, he knows our hearts, but if we ultimately choose to remain in unforgiveness, he gives us that choice. I think that we have that choice ultimately. So, you know, yes, we can remain in that place. It doesn't mean we lose our salvation if we're Christians, I don't think. You know, but I mean, there's shades of gray, right, in places in us, and it could be a piece of us. But, and he's wanting us to be whole. But it makes me think of the law, and it just makes me think for some reason of that just, you know, you have to do the letter of the law kind of thing. And it makes me think of the fact that the law pointed to, like, the act that Christ finally did was so unbelievable. He could have, you know, cried out against all of the letters of the law kind of thing. And there's something in that incredible act that I think that if we act on it, that miracles could happen.
You're right, and I think in some instances, miracles, and it is a miracle that we can get past things, or that people can recover from extreme, things that have happened against them. So, in going along with that, how might forgiveness actually set us free?
I think in follow, like what Sherry's saying too, that idea of choice, the idea of surrendering it away so that it doesn't, so that you first then submit that to God, and then God does that work of the miraculous part, like all those steps that we're, process of sanctification as believers, that we walk through processes and come to a point where we are then forgiven. There's a lot to it, all of those pieces of the puzzle, and grace all over it. Interesting things that have to happen through that process.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot. I have 10 points. We're going to be here till 2 years. So
this is part
from
one.
From a physical standpoint, forgiveness can bring healthier relationships. It's great for your spiritual and psychological well-being. You have less anxiety, stress, or hostility, fewer symptoms of depression, a stronger immune system even, scientifically, improved heart health, a higher self-esteem. So all of these things are physical things that affect us with something that's very emotional. And so we're going to keep that in mind as we go through the example that we're going through today, which is one of the ones that I always think of just because how much was wrong and awful about the situation. We're going to look at the life of Joseph. So if you want to turn your Bibles or your phones or to Genesis, we'll start at Genesis 37. Now Joseph gets quite a lot of real estate in the Bible here. He's in lots of chapters, so we're going to kind of do a Cliff's Notes through some of this, or else, as I said, 10 points. You can't be here forever. So Genesis 37 starts off with kind kind of talking about how Joseph's favored by his dad, Jacob. He's got 10 brothers, all older than him. And Joseph's the baby. He is 17 when we start this off. And he's kind of a punk, I think. What he does is he gets these dreams about how his brothers will one day bow down to him. And of course he goes like a typical younger brother and tells his older brothers, hey, I have these dreams that one day I'm going to rule and you guys are going to bow down. So, and on top of this, Joseph's dad had given him this beautiful colored coat. There's the wonderful picture. I don't know if that's what it looked like. I doubt it. That's exactly what Joseph looked like in real life. And so he's already been shown favoritism. And then he tells his brothers that, yeah, I'm going to be great. You guys are all going to follow my commands. So they're already kind of annoyed with him when we start off here. Verse 13. All right. So Israel says to Joseph, are not your brothers pasturing in the flock in Shechem? Come and I will send you to them. And he said to him, I will go. Then he said to him, go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock, and bring word back to me. So he went. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. A man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. He said, what are you looking for? And he said, I'm looking for my brothers. Please tell me where they're pasturing the flock. And then the man says, they've moved down from here. I've heard them say, let's go to, I don't know, Dothan? Whatever. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them. When they saw him from a distance, and before he came close to them, they plotted against him and put him to death. Now, how many of you have siblings? Have you ever? This is a pretty kind of extreme kind of hate. I mean, this is
a party time, YouTuber party time, YouTuber party time, yeah, party time, YouTuber party time, YouTuber party time. Woo! Gonna make videos, gonna get lots of subscribers, gonna make a Facebook page and make my titles all caps, gonna write a parody and maybe cover a pop song and auto-tune my voice. Gonna make a video about making a video. Gonna have a title sequence, maybe try a daily vlog. Gonna get my video selected for the YouTube homepage. Wait, they don't do that anymore. I think a computer does that. Beauty, gaming, vlogging, singing, top 100 product placement. Party time, YouTuber, party